Hey, welcome back to Riverfront Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. Hey, Danny, what's harder? A save opportunity when you only have a one-run cushion, or four runs, a four-run lead, and not being a save situation?
Uh, Obviously, it's a 4-run lead or more. Actually, 3-run lead is wait. Let me get that straight. You're asking which is tougher? The
Yeah.
1-run lead is tougher.
Uh-huh.
No, easier for me because I
Right.
like close games.
Because
I
you get
like
that
them close.
adrenaline,
If it's a
right?
four run lead, yeah, you just want to get the game over. You don't even like. There's zero adrenaline.
So Emilio
That's what you're
Pagan gives
asking,
up
right?
2 runs in the ninth. You're like, yeah, dude, I get it. Like, hey,
Yeah,
you got the job done. I don't care
yeah.
anything else.
I don't yeah, exactly because there were so many times and I would come in to get work or come in when it was a safe situation when I was warming up and then we score a bunch of runs, but I still was loose. So I go in, I give up a few runs just because, and then next thing you know, it's close and then we lock in. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing, Trent. It's so bizarre.
But in the end, it doesn't matter because you're having beers with the boys and you've got to win.
Yeah, a win is a win.
A win is a win, and beers with the boys are beers with the boys.
I love it.
All right. Like I said earlier, welcome to Riverfront Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. I am Trent Rosecrans, longtime Reds beat writer, currently with The Athletic, and he is Cincinnati Reds Hall of Famer Danny Graves. Danny, Reds took care of business again today. We're
Yeah.
recording Thursday afternoon. Reds win 6-4 against the Colorado Rockies. No save for Emilio Pagan, but a win for Andrew Abbott, his first of the year. A lot of strange things have happened for the Reds so far this year. I would have been really surprised if you told me Andrew Abbott's first win would be on the last day of April, and it would push the Reds to 20-11.
Yeah, 20 wins in the month of April. I saw that was a record for
Yeah, but like back when you guys played, you guys started like April
April
5th
4th
or
and 5th.
6th or
Yeah.
something like that. Now
Yeah.
it's March 24th or whatever.
Yeah.
So
But still
31 games is still a lot. But when you play
yeah,
31 games and you've won 20, pretty good.
that's a pretty good record, obviously. Yeah. And the Andrew Abbott thing, yeah, April 30th, and he's got his first win. Never would have imagined it. But I think you brought something to light a few weeks ago when I mentioned that they don't score runs when Andrew Abbott pitches. Well, because generally he pitches against other teams' aces. And that's what happens when you become the opening day starter, which he was this year. And then he faced a ton of aces. So,
Yeah.
of course, aces, you're not going to score a ton of runs off them.
And right, we've seen that. And it's another good sign because last Thursday, the Tigers, the way it just kind of ends up, the end of the Tigers series before they came into Great American Ballpark, not Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, the other Cy Young winner,
Yeah.
pitched right before 3 games against the Reds. Today, Paul Skeens pitches for the Pirates right before 3 games for the Reds. So anytime you don't face Tarek Skubal or Paul Skeens, you consider yourself lucky. And this is a pretty big series for the Reds. I don't think you can shy away from that.
No, you can't. And just to clarify, no disrespect to the other starters on those teams, but any team in baseball would rather not face Scooble or Skeens within a week.
I mean,
Yeah.
and
that just only makes sense.
You're not saying anything about, say, Sal Stewart or Eugenio Suarez, both of whom have looked pretty darn good at third base this year. I don't think either one of those guys would take offense if you said, hey, the other guy at third base is fielding a little better than you. Just as he probably wouldn't take offense if they said, hey, Eugenio Suarez and Sal Stewart are hitting better than you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great comparison. I mean, it is what it is. There's no getting around it. So yeah, big week coming up. Obviously, I think this is great though because the Reds are playing great baseball. Coming off that great road trip and then 4-2 on at home, right? 4-2. That's what they were.
Yeah.
So yeah, now you're going into Pittsburgh and then 4 against the Cubs. And we know that sometimes it's miserable playing at Wrigley Field as a division rival. But you mentioned this earlier too. This is a division that is the only division that has every team above 500. So every team is good, and every team is going to be coming at you since the Reds are in first place in this division at the moment. But
every team not is playing well now.
Yeah, you're right. Every team is playing well now.
We'll see who's good, but that's all that matters, right?
Yes.
And honestly, like I was looking at something, was it yesterday? For something I was looking at writing about how last year the Reds were 2 games above 500 against teams that finished above 500 at 500 or better, and they were 2 games over 500 against teams that were under 500. So my point being is you've really got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, right?
Yes.
But on the other hand, I think this stat was from yesterday's game notes, so they may not have been updated. The Reds were 14-6, I believe, against teams, or 14-2, maybe something like that, against teams that were above 500 when they played them, and they were entering yesterday. They were 2-1 against teams above 500 at that point. And so it always kind of depends on what it is at the time and when you play somebody, is it really beating the Pirates, like sweeping the Pirates if you don't play face Skeens? Well, yeah, it still is, but it's less impressive, and it may be less in like the evaluation sense, but not in the result sense.
But right, because in September, say Pittsburgh is right behind Cincinnati in the standings for first and second place, nobody's going to say, well, Skeens didn't pitch that weekend that you guys swept, So they're just thankful that he's not pitching this weekend.
Yes. Yeah. You put it in there and you're like, yep, we did. Now, of course, you also, you faced Soriano, you faced Skeens already once, you faced some dudes. And you've done it without
Crochet was great.
Crochet. And you've done it without your dudes.
Yes.
Although Chase Burns is getting to be a dude, right?
Yeah, but I love where he's at right now because he's kind of under the radar. To us, he's not under the radar because we get to see him often, but I think the rest of the baseball world knows his name and knows that he's got good stuff, but they don't realize that he's becoming the dude.
Yeah, he's becoming a dude. Yeah, for sure. And that's huge. I know when they go to Philly, when is that? Next month, later in May. I'm not going. And Tyler Kepner, my colleague at The Athletic, was like, "Hey, would you mind if I write something about Chase Burns? I think he's pretty good." I'm like, "Yeah, I think he's pretty good too. No, go for it. You can do that." And so he was going to do a Chase. That's the plan right now. But yeah, I think there are people who are noticing, and we're getting there. But this is big, and then you follow that with the Cubs, and this is the favorite in this division going into the season. And that's another. I will be in Chicago for those 4 games against them. So 7 game stretch. It's about as big as we're going to get. So we shall see. It's a big week.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting week because there's going to be some probably some animosity there from the Wrigley faithful. I know they don't like any team that comes in that's good.
No,
especially the Reds.
I mean, they could see a pretty good Reds team and like, hey, we're not in first place. What? This is the team that's ahead of us. Cubs fans. Well, there are great Cubs fans, and then there are the ones that goes to the games because that's what you're cool to do.
Yeah, the entitled ones.
Or, well, no, the
Yeah.
ones who just don't know any better and think anything hit in the air is a home run.
Right. And those are the ones that think that the Cubs should win every single game and every other team and player sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. Well, hey, with that, we will take a quick break. Riverfront Territory is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, the MLB season is in full swing, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to call your shot with daily dingers. Joining the action's easy. Just make your free pick, free, noted, free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game, and if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Or not, you choose how you want to do it. It's just another reason why FanDuel is the home of home runs. So looking at this Reds-Pirates matchup with our old buddy Mitch Keller, Mitch seems like he's been around forever. Like, was Jason Kendall catching his debut? Maybe Mike LaValle or Tony Pena. That goes back to my childhood. Of course, I know, Sanguian and all those guys. But my era, Tony Pena, the one leg out, just awesome. Really trailblazer. And you see a lot of that in what is coming today. His son was with the Reds in 2020 spring training and was, really this one knee thing kind of started there. Anyway, so, it's one of those things where they know each other, going back to Mitch Keller and the Reds hitters. They've all faced each other. It's not going to be any like secrets. You know what you're going to do. It's, you hear the same Tony Pena stories or Jason Kendall punchlines that you always hear. So there's that. Just kind of looking at it, 3 Reds have homers off Keller. That would be Spencer Steer, Tyler Stevenson, and Chen Blade. So, if we're going to do a pick, I guess, I think I'm going to go with Steer and Blade. Just because they've done it. Both are, like, Spencer's really heating up, and you can tell when he's going gap to gap. That said, one of the things I really love about games in PNC Park, like this one, when you're talking about home runs and predicting those, left and right-handed batters both benefit from that little short notch in left field. So those are always kind of fun where you see the outfielder, left fielder go and try to rob it. And sometimes can because it's a low wall. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of that. So those are 2 guys. I just kind of like it. So you ready to play your game? Head over to fanduel.com/podcast to get started. That's fanduel.com/podcast to opt in for daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball.
No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, Danny, we are back at Riverfront Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. Danny Graves, tell me what you saw out of Andrew Abbott today. This was the Andrew Abbott that we know and love.
Yeah, so I know he talked about working on his mechanics or his delivery a little bit the last couple of weeks. What I noticed, and I heard Barry Larkin talking a lot today during the broadcast, I feel like with his mechanics being fixed, he's able to go to both sides of the plate a little bit easier, where you could have great stuff, but if you stay on one side of the plate, which is kind of what Andrew was doing for a little bit because he couldn't get to the inside part of the plate against a righty. So now they're just looking in one zone, looking middle away, no fear of that ball coming inside. Well, he threw some inside and it just changed the whole atmosphere of the rest of the game.
Okay, here give me on this. Like, this is always kind of, and maybe this is simplifying. I've never understood, like, right-handed batters love the ball away, up and away, and lefties love it low and in. Why?
Yeah.
And am I
don't
generalizing, know. But it's true, right?
No, that's the stereotype of lefties. Love that ball down and in, just drop the head. It's been like that since the invention of baseball. I don't know why.
Even
but righties don't.
Even like a jackass like me, I could like you put that like curveball that's coming right down at me. Oh hell yeah, man! I am teeing off on that.
Yeah,
because it's coming at me. It's low.
Yeah, it's there's no fear. You just drop the head on it and it's gone. The only righties I've seen be able to do something like that is Albert Pujols and Mike Trout. They don't mind that ball down and in.
Okay, Albert Pujols and Mike Trout. What don't they like? When you're talking peak of those two guys, you're talking like I don't know.
They hit everything.
Right-handed hitters. Yeah. You right. Like, trying to think better right-handed hitters than those guys. The history of the game, like they're really not.
Yeah, Joe DiMaggio, maybe.
I'll take either of those guys over Joe D. Seriously.
I would too. I'm just throwing. I totally would too. I'm just throwing names out there so the history buffs don't get on us.
Yeah. All right.
But yes, but Abbott, that's the thing. I think if he can move the ball in and out like that, his other pitches become way more effective. And he threw some changeups off the plate that righties ended up chasing because of the fear of that inside pitch. And then it helps his elevated fastball be a swing and miss fastball again because he's got them thinking, maybe he's going to come inside.
All right. Well, why don't we hear from Terry Francona here? This is after today's game.
Yeah.
And the video that we shot. So, all right, it actually.
I even think in the first inning, I mean, give Freeman some credit. I just didn't think off the bat. This was probably one of the few ballparks, and today it's a home run. I think when it went up, we thought it was an out. But after that, he really looked like Abbott. Started throwing his changeup, got in a rhythm. Used his fastball up a little bit better than he has, and was very effective.
What'd you like about your offense today?
Timing. TJ, all of a sudden you're down one, then you're up one. It changes the whole complexion of the game. And then we kind of stayed at it, which is a good thing because how many times if you make a mistake, you don't want to cost you a game. They got a couple hits in the ninth that it ended up not being extra innings or we lose.
About the defense, there were some really, really nice plays.
I agree. Ellie's. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody get thrown out from short center or short right. That's pretty impressive.
You guys have obviously dealing with some injuries in the rotation. For Abbott to look more like Abbott again, how important is that going forward while you try to cover these people?
I can't think of a day when it's not. I mean, there's always a good time for him to look like Abbott. But I get your point.
It's fifth inning, obviously, Terry, for him to work out of that bases loaded situation. What did you see in that?
Well, and then even in the sixth, like we had Johnson up, and they had a couple righties, and again they may have pinch hit, but I just thought he was throwing the ball the way he should, and I thought he deserved to try to see if he could finish that inning.
Are you seeing TJ and Spencer kind of hit more towards the back of their baseball card, like you always say?
Yeah. We'll enjoy watching them get to their level because they will.
Do you if the other team walks somebody ahead of Spencer, you're feeling pretty good?
Yeah, because I know Spence, and he not outwardly is gonna, but I think he relishes that a lot. And yeah, I mean I don't blame him, but but knowing Spence, he's up for the challenge. Yeah.
It was the seventh inning at classic Connor Phillips inning. Strikes out 3, but kind of has to work around.
Hits a guy in the toe, a walk, but his stuff. And part of the reason we brought him in was because we thought they'd unload their lefties, and he can kind of neutralize that with his spin.
Good.
All right.
So Danny, you heard from Tito there talking about Abbott being Abbott, Spencer Steer being Spencer Steer, and TJ Friedel being TJ Friedel. It's good to see like TJ Friedel coming along and Spencer Steer coming along. They intentionally walk JJ Bleday to get to Steer, and he does what he needs to do. TJ Friedel with a big home run. He's just looking to drive the ball there, and he drives it. And it seems like TJ, when he's at his best, he's looking to drive it, and a couple just like go into that first row.
Yeah, and that's the thing about TJ too. Like he never takes his at bats or his offensive struggles out into the outfield. So wherever you put him, he's going to do that defensively and make the plays. So he's just such a pro, and that at some point he's going to come out of this slump. And today, I think seeing the excitement from TJ, because he doesn't usually do that, right? Like I haven't really seen him get like pumped and a fist pump. That was awesome to see. And maybe that's what he needed to change things and get things going again. But I trust him at the top of the lineup all day long, every single day of the year. And Spencer Steer is just a matter of time. You're going to walk somebody to pitch to me. Okay, well, now it's time to get a little more aggressive. I'm going to jump on something that you throw out over the plate. And he did just that. So,
okay.
I mean,
if you're a pitcher and you give up a grounder to right center that whizzes by you, I mean, like, what were you thinking in that second inning, that play that Ellie De La Cruz made?
So when the ball's hit, it's like, okay, we need a ground ball next pitch to get a double play. The next thing you know, Ellie is diving into right center field.
and you're thinking probably like, not that ground ball, not there.
Yeah. Because if you're playing normal depth, I know this McLean was shifted a little bit towards first base. If you're playing normal, that's going to be tough for him to get. That, because the ball was hit pretty hard. Probably going to be a hit no matter what.
And it's hard for him then, if he's going to his right, to then
turn and throw
across his body.
Yeah.
And like no shortstop gets to that.
No. Because when before the ball's hit, you see where he's lined up. He's lined up not right at second base, like more towards shortstop, like a few steps towards shortstop. So he went a long way to stop that ball. And I mean, could you imagine Abbott's 30 thinking, all right, I'm a ground ball guy. I can get a double play. Whoa, what?
Yeah. I talked to TJ, and TJ was just like, yep, I'm charging. I know this is a hit all the way, so I got to make sure what's going on, keep everything in front of me, X, Y, and Z. Let's hear a little bit more from TJ Friedel here.
You guys go from down one to up one real quick. What did that do for this team just to kind of get there?
Yeah, I think, we hit a lot of balls hard, right at guys. That's baseball. But I think it's just sticking to the approach that we had and keeping on the heater and just taking good swings, and it's baseball. It's going to turn. And I think the biggest thing is adding on. Once we got that lead, adding on late like that in the eighth was huge. So,
what does it say, TJ, when Andrew pitches like you become accustomed to seeing him pitch, and when he holds a game right at 2-0, 2-1, it gives the confidence to the lineup eventually?
Yeah, he did incredible. It was an incredible start out of him, and to keep us in the game like that, to give us a chance to fight back. That's all you can really ask for out of him in that position, and he did that for us today and allowed us to get back into the game. So it was an incredible start from him.
A number of guys here, yourself included, probably the first couple of weeks, the numbers weren't what you love. What's been the key to now seeing over the last week or two so many guys like yourself grinding out of it and getting up?
Just showing up every day. I think that's the biggest thing. It's such a long season. You just show up every day and you put in the work. You trust the process, and everybody here we have such a close clubhouse that we pick each other up, kind of no matter what, no matter who's swinging hot, who may be going through it. Like, we're always there for each other, and I think our offense kind of shows that as well. Like, we get the bats rolling, and everyone's having fun, playing loose, playing free. So it's a lot of fun. This clubhouse, this team, it's a blast.
You've been around Spencer for quite a while. What are kind of your feelings when you see the opposing team walk someone to get to Spencer with runners in scoring position?
Yeah, I think that's just Spence. Like, it's him being himself. Knowing him, I don't think he went up there with any more tight back grip or I gotta make him pay, nothing like that. Like, he just takes mature at bats every single at bat, and that's what he does. And then he delivered right there.
That one ball that Ellie made the play on it.
Yeah, that was insane.
Like, have you ever seen?
I mean, I have a perfect view of that, like in
Right.
center field, and I could see how much range he covered. And off the bat, I'm like charging in because it's probably going to be base hit at the middle. And he just comes out of nowhere, dives 6 feet, gets up, and makes a throw. Like, it's to have that angle of it right behind him to watch that it's insane. But it's Ellie. Like I've said that for 4 years now, or 3 years, whatever it's been.
Right. It would be unbelievable if it were anybody else.
Yeah. He makes it, and it's just like, well, yeah, that's him. That's what he does.
TJ, you guys have set a tone by winning 2 out of every 3 so far on average this season. How important is it for you guys to kind of set that standard now for this season?
Yeah, I think, I mentioned it before, how important these early games are. Winning games in April, winning series in April, and that today was a gritty win. And I think, like I said, about out on the field, like that's what this team's made of. And not every game's going to be easy. Not every game's going to be rolling out of bed and the offense is rolling or whatever, but there's days where you kind of got to dig deep and finish out the series. And so that was a great win for us today.
We know every win counts the same, but this next 2 series are really kind of your big test, or first back-to-back division games. What do these 2 series mean for this team?
Yeah, it's anytime you play a divisional opponent, it's huge. And it's a big week coming up for us, and we're playing good ball, and we're just going to keep it rolling. We're going to treat it like every other series, not put any added pressure on it because it's a divisional opponent. But like I said, it's always important playing a divisional opponent, but we're going to continue business as usual.
What does it mean to this team to have 20 wins?
Well, Danny, kind of as we go towards next week and looking into this past week, it wasn't all great news. Brandon Williamson left his start on Wednesday. The Rockies beat up on the Reds on Wednesday. He got a cortisone shot, but the good news is that structurally everything in that left shoulder looked good. He's had shoulder issues in the past. He's coming off Tommy John surgery, missed pretty much 2 seasons, like at least 1.5 seasons. So that's tough, but could be worse news. And honestly, it's when you're coming back from missing that much time and having that kind of surgery, it's not unexpected. Like I think what he said is like, he's got about 50 innings between like spring, lead up to spring, and the season. And that's when things start getting a little tired.
Yeah, I think after having such a major surgery, it's inevitable that at some point you're going to get some fatigue or some kind of tendonitis. I'm not saying like throwing things out there that he has. I know he had a cortisone shot, but there's still time for him to get stronger. And I think we've all seen after having that surgery, it's usually the second year after is when they really light it up. So, I mean, it's great that he's been pitching a little bit, but what a perfect time. You never want anybody to get hurt, but what a perfect time to get rest and get stronger because it's still early in the season. And guess what? There's depth. And guess what? Things always seem to work out, right? When there's somebody that's close to being ready to come back.
Well, let's hope. Lodola's still got at least one more, if not 2. Maybe this will be only one more and then 2. Monday is going to be tough.
One more.
Hopefully
one more.
Monday will be tough, but I think it is one of those things where, it could be Chase Petty. He was taken out of the game after 2 1/3 in Omaha. Not anything wrong. It was just kind of like, okay, if so, we don't want him to get hurt.
Right, because it was the same day, right?
Yeah.
He's on the same rotation.
Yeah, so he was pitching yesterday in Omaha, and he was like 2 1/3 inning because they were Central Time, so Central Time people are all behind the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And
well, it's a good thing that it wasn't Eastern Time because he might have been in the 5th or 6th.
Yeah, and so basically they were just like, well, I mean, I think they would have been fine if he was 5th and 6th. They just didn't want him throwing anymore and like taking a comeback or rolling an ankle or
exactly.
This is a team that there was so much depth in the rotation to begin the season, and they've needed it. This is why every GM and like you remember everybody like, well, they should trade Hunter Green. Look how good they are, and you're like, no, you never have too many starting pitchers. Every year there's some team like, well, they have 7 starters or 6 starters. What are they gonna do? they're going to need
Keep
all
'em.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
And that is why
Yeah.
you do it. So, but yeah, and it might hurt on Monday against the Cubs, but the Cubs have some issues as well with their rotation, and for the Reds, it's going to be in the long run, like you said, it's good because I think Williamson, he's not a guy who's going, he's not a Chase Burns, but he's a good, solid starter that you feel most days will give you a good effort. It's also kind of, I love the thing about Williamson, and he was saying like, he could feel that he couldn't get where he likes to throw it over the top. And he is, it's funny because like, I just remember when like he first came over, you're like, oh, him and Lodolo, both TCU, best of friends, former roommates, both big, tall, lanky lefties. But they're completely different beside that because,
opposite,
Lodolo's over here and Williamson's up here. And so they're different looks, which is always good too. I think that's one of the big things about this bullpen. You've got a lot of different looks in this bullpen. And if the Rays have taught us nothing else, that is the key.
Yeah. And with Williamson, the key is to be able to freely be able to get to his arm slot, wherever it may be.
Because it's just not the same. That's why his arm slot is his arm slot.
No. And that's the thing. Like he works so hard, like rehabbing his elbow. Sometimes you neglect the shoulder as much as you don't think you do, but you do. And then it begins to, yes, of course. And it gets a little bit weak. And the next thing you know, you can't get that range of motion. You lose your arm slot. And it's like, oh my gosh, now I can't throw anymore. you know? So I think it's good timing, really.
Yeah. Well, we will be back next week. Thank you guys so much for joining us here at Riverfront Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. Please rate, review, subscribe on YouTube. Tell a friend to subscribe on YouTube if you already have, so you can get a +1. That's actually extremely important for us to keep doing this. Our good friend Mason will be back, our fellow co-host later next week. So Mason will join us and bring more of his insight and pretty exciting stuff that we've got the three of us going now. Even look more, on our socials and Reds Daily, Riverfront Territory, The Athletic, all those things. I've got a fun story, or interesting story. Could maybe not exactly fun if you're talking about a guy with a 10 OPS plus, but a Key Brian Hayes story that I'm kind of excited about that will be up on Friday morning on The Athletic if you want to read that. It's funny because Danny mentioned, hey, this, and I was like, just wait, you might want to read something first. So
and I said, don't tell me anything else.
No
don't
spoilers.
say anything. Nope. People got to go read it just like I do. I'm not getting any firsthand insider info.
Yeah, because that's valuable. So anyway, we will be back. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. Please check out all the other Foul Territory Network shows. Subscribe to all of them just for fun. Honestly, you have no idea how just hitting that button helps everybody. Even if you put it at the end of your queue, just subscribe. It would really help.
And it's free.
And it's free, right? It takes a second. You're already here. You've spent this much time with us. If you're hearing this, and you can just hit the button, it makes it easier. So, or, if you're listening on the podcast, pull up YouTube, Riverfront Territory, hit the subscribe. We'd love you. Thank you for listening to us on the podcast as well. So for Danny Graves, I am Trent Rosecrans. Thank you so much for joining us. We will talk to you next time.